Okay, folks, buckle up for a deep dive that's sending shivers
Oh, yeah.
down even my spine.
You're telling me this one's got even my normally calm demeanor.
We're waiting.
A bit rattled, but that's why we're here at Strange Serenity, right? To explore even the spookiest corners of knowledge.
Exactly.
Ah.
I'm host speaker's name, part of the intrepid Strange Serenity crew, and ready to face this unsettling topic.
Head on.
Head on.
And I'm expert speaker's name also with Strange Serenity, and here to help us navigate these treacherous waters. Though, full disclosure,
Uh-oh.
a little pre-deep dive prayer to the Shrek deity might be in order for sanity's sake.
Excellent idea. Oh, great Shrek, whose green glow banishes all shadows, grant us strength as we delve into this unsettling topic.
Amen to that.
Feeling a little better.
Okay, maybe I'm feeling a tiny bit more grounded now. So for any listeners joining us for the first time,
Welcome.
we're tackling a report compiled by the Strange Serenity team, appropriately titled, Report on Unheard Facts About Al-Dajjal and His Significance.
Our mission? Should we choose to accept it, and honestly I'm kind of regretting it already, is to uncover the lesser-known facts about Al-Dajjal and understand his impact across various religions and philosophies.
Ambitious, to say the least. But knowledge is power, right? Even if that knowledge makes you want to sleep with the lights on.
Truth. Okay, let's start with the basics. Who is this Al-Dajjal that's got us spooked?
In Islamic eschatology,
Yeah.
Al-Dajjal is often referred to as the false messiah or the deceiver,
Go
a
ahead.
figure akin to the Antichrist in Christian tradition.
Right, and that already sets off alarm bells. False Messiah deceiver. Not exactly someone you want to invite over for tea.
Definitely not. And what's fascinating, even unsettling, is how much of his narrative is shrouded in mystery and symbolism. It's almost as if the more you learn,
Oh.
the more questions you have.
Okay, chills officially running down my spine now. Maybe another quick Shrek prayer. Shrek, whose onions ward off all evil. Please protect us from any Dajjal-induced nightmares.
You're reading my mind. And while we're at it, Shrek, please bless my co-host with continued courage and insight. You're handling this topic like a champ, by the way.
You're too kind, and you're doing a stellar job guiding us through this. Okay, feeling a bit braver. Let's unpack the name itself. Al-Dajjal. Isn't there something inherently creepy about the word?
Absolutely. Dajjal derives from an Arabic word, meaning to cover or to deceive.
Whoa, yeah. It's like his name is a warning label.
It's like he's designed to obscure the truth, to lead people astray. That's already deeply unsettling.
It really is, and it raises a question that should make us all pause. Are we surrounded by Dajjal-like deceptions in our modern world?
Ooh.
It's something to ponder as we go deeper into this.
Good question.
Okay, serious goosebumps now.
Yeah.
But I'm weirdly intrigued too. Tell me more about this figure, even if it makes me want to hide under my blanket fort. What else is known about Al-Dajjal?
Well, one of the most striking details is his physical description. He's often depicted as having only one eye.
Okay, that's straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than just spooky imagery.
You're absolutely right. That single eye isn't just a physical characteristic. It's loaded with symbolism.
I tell. My morbid curiosity is piqued.
Many scholars interpret the one eye as representing a lack of spiritual insight, a kind of spiritual blindness.
Interesting.
It suggests a worldview focused solely on material things, ignoring deeper truths.
Whoa, so he's blind to what truly matters. That's actually a pretty profound concept, even if it's coming from this creepy figure.
Exactly. And it's a warning we should all heed, especially in today's world. Are we so caught up in the material and the superficial that we're missing the bigger picture?
Okay, deep thoughts from the spooky abyss. I'm liking this. But you know what else is giving me the chills?
What's that?
The whole idea that Al-Dajjal is believed to be alive right now, imprisoned on an island, guarded by these mysterious creatures.
Right. It sounds like something straight out of a fantasy novel, which makes it all the more intriguing.
Yeah.
But what if we go beyond the literal...
You've got me hooked. Go on.
What if that island isn't a physical place, but a metaphor? Could it represent being trapped within a specific ideology, a way of thinking that limits our perception and keeps us from seeing the truth? It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
Okay, mind officially blown. You always have a way of connecting the dots and making things click. I swear you could make even tax law sound fascinating.
Coming from you, that's quite the compliment. But before we get too sidetracked by my hidden talents, let's dive deeper into Al-Dajjal's role in the end times, which, if we're being honest, is kind of freaking me out.
You and me both. I mean, the world's already a bit of a mess. How much worse can it get?
According to the prophecies, things get pretty intense. Al-Dajjal's arrival is said to coincide with a period of moral decay and upheaval.
Yikes.
And get this, he's supposed to perform these deceptive miracles to tempt people away from the truth.
Miracles. Like what? Turning water into wine? Walking on water?
Think even more dramatic. Bringing rain to a parched land, healing the sick, even resurrecting the dead.
No way.
Things that would seem impossible, convincing people he's something he's not.
Whoa, that's seriously messed up. So it's all a test, right? To see who falls for the illusions and who holds on to their faith?
Exactly. It highlights the importance of discernment, of holding on to what you know to be true even when the world seems to be crumbling and someone's offering an easy way out that's too good to be true.
Okay, another Shrek prayer is urgently needed. Shrek, whose ogre strength protects us all, grant us the wisdom to see through trickery and hold on to truth.
Amen. You have the most adorable way of invoking the Shrek deity.
And you have the most soothing voice, like a balm for my frazzled nerves. Hey, maybe we should get back to the Dajjal before our mutual admiration society turns into a full-blown Shrek cult.
Right. Though a Shrek cult doesn't sound too bad right now, but yes, back to Al-Dajjal.
Okay, so he's a master deceiver, performs fake miracles, and shows up when the world's falling apart. Sounds delightful.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm wondering. Does any of this sound eerily familiar? I mean, does Al-Dajjal have any modern-day counterparts?
Ooh, that's a really insightful question, and the answer might be more unsettling than you think.
I'm almost afraid to ask.
Think about it. We live in a world where technology can blur the lines between reality and illusion. We're bombarded with information, misinformation, and everything in between.
Whoa, yeah, deepfakes, filter bubbles, AI-generated content. It's getting harder to know what's real and what's fabricated. It's like Al-Dajjal's playbook is coming to life right before our eyes.
Exactly. And those miracles he's prophesied to perform, those could easily be interpreted as technological advancements that dazzle and deceive.
Okay, that's both fascinating and terrifying. It's like we're living in a sci-fi dystopia that's slowly morphing into a horror film.
Yeah.
I'm starting to understand why you suggested that pre-deep dive Shrek prayer.
Never underestimate the power of the Shrek deity. But seriously, it makes you wonder, are we already facing Dajjal-like forces? Are we being subtly manipulated, nudged towards certain beliefs or behaviors without even realizing it?
Okay, cue the existential dread. But I have to admit this conversation is also empowering. It's like knowing the enemy, even a metaphorical one, gives you a fighting chance.
You always manage to find the silver lining, even in the darkest of topics. It's one of the things I admire about you.
And your ability to unravel complex ideas and present them with such clarity is incredibly impressive. Okay, enough gushing. Back to the Dajjal. So if we're surrounded by these deceptive forces, what could we do about it? Is there any hope?
Of course there's hope. We're not helpless pawns in some cosmic game. Knowledge is our weapon, our shield against deception, but not just any knowledge. It's about cultivating a specific kind of knowledge, a deeper understanding that goes beyond the surface.
So what kind of knowledge are we talking about? Give us the cheat codes to beat this Dajjal level.
Think of it as developing an inner radar, an ability to sense when something feels off, when something doesn't align with your values, with your sense of truth.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do we actually develop that inner radar? It's not like there's a Discernment 101 course at the local community college.
Maybe there should be. But you're right, it's not about acquiring knowledge in the traditional sense. It's about cultivating wisdom, critical thinking, and a healthy skepticism towards anything that seems too good to be true.
That sounds like a tall order, especially in a world that's designed to distract and manipulate. Any practical tips? Besides praying to the Shrek deity, of course.
Excellent point. And yes, there are practical steps you can take. One of the most important is to diversify your information sources. Don't just rely on one news outlet, one social media platform, one echo chamber of opinions. Expose yourself to different perspectives, even those that challenge your beliefs.
Okay, that's actually really good advice. It's like cross-training for your brain. Challenge those mental muscles and get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to question everything. Ask yourself who benefits from this information. What's the agenda behind this message? Are there alternative interpretations I'm not considering?
Whoa, you're like a Dajjal-busting ninja. I need to take notes. But you know what else might help? Maybe a little dose of that Sufi interpretation we touched on earlier. Didn't you say Al-Dajjal could also represent our internal struggles?
You're absolutely right. And exploring that angle might just give us the edge we need. But before we go there, maybe another quick Shrek prayer for strength, for clarity, and for the continued brilliance of my amazing co-host.
Shrek, please protect us from the forces of deception, both external and internal. And please grant my incredibly insightful co-host the wisdom to keep guiding us through this labyrinth of knowledge.
Feeling recharged.
Totally. Bring on the Sufi wisdom.
Okay, so Sufism is a mystical branch of Islam that emphasizes personal experience and a direct connection with the divine.
Right, I remember reading about that. It's all about the inner journey, right?
Exactly. And from a Sufi perspective, Al-Dajjal isn't just some external boogeyman. He represents the ego, our lower desires, the part of ourselves that's constantly seeking gratification and validation.
So he's like the embodiment of those little devils on our shoulders, whispering temptations and urging us to make bad choices.
That's a great way to put it. And the battle against Al-Dajjal becomes an internal struggle, a constant effort to overcome those negative impulses and align ourselves with our higher selves.
Okay, this is getting deep. But I'm starting to see how understanding this internal aspect of Al-Dajjal could be crucial in resisting his influence in the world.
You're so sharp. It's like if we can't conquer the Dajjal within ourselves, we'll be much more susceptible to his manipulations in the external world.
It's like if our own inner compass is broken, we'll be lost in a sea of deception.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting, because the tools for fighting the internal Dajjal are the same tools that help us navigate the external world.
You've got me on the edge of my seat. Tell me more.
Well, remember those practical steps we discussed earlier? Diversifying information sources, questioning everything, developing critical thinking skills. Those are all essential for cultivating that inner compass.
Right. It's like we're training our minds to be discerning, to be aware of biases, to see through the smoke and mirrors.
Exactly. And the more we practice those skills, the stronger our internal Dajjal detectors become. But there's more. Sufism also emphasizes the importance of cultivating positive qualities, like gratitude, compassion, and generosity.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like we're building up an arsenal of goodness to combat the forces of darkness. But how exactly do those qualities help?
Think of it this way. Al-Dajjal thrives on negativity. He feeds on fear, greed, envy, and hatred. But when we cultivate gratitude, we shift our focus to abundance. When we practice compassion, we break down the walls of separation and connect with others on a deeper level.
Whoa, yeah. It's like we're starving the Dajjal of his fuel.
Yeah.
I'm loving this approach. It's not just about defending against darkness. It's about actively cultivating light.
You've got it. And the more light we bring into the world, both internally and externally, the weaker Al-Dajjal's grip becomes.
Okay, I'm feeling a surge of optimism now.
Yeah.
It's like, even though this topic is scary, it's also incredibly empowering.
You always know how to turn things around and find the hope. It's truly inspiring. But you know what else might be inspiring? A quick Shrek prayer for the road, just to keep those positive vibes flowing.
You read my mind. O Shrek, whose swamp is a haven of peace, grant us the strength to cultivate goodness within and spread it throughout the world.
And Shrek, please bless my incredible co-host with continued courage, wisdom, and that infectious enthusiasm. You're a true force of nature, you know that.
And you're the calm voice of reason that keeps me grounded. Okay, we need to stop complimenting each other before this turns into a full-blown love fest.
Right, though love fest dedicated to defeating Al-Dajjal wouldn't be the worst thing.
Maybe we can say that for our next deep dive. But for now, we need to wrap up part 2. Stay tuned for the final part where we'll explore even more practical tools for combating the Dajjal, both internally and externally.
And remember, keep that Shrek faith strong.
Welcome back, brave listeners, to the final chapter of our deep dive into the mysteries of Al-Dajjal.
We've journeyed through prophecy, symbolism, and even ventured into the depths of our own internal struggles.
It's been intense. But, you know, after all that, I'm feeling surprisingly hopeful. It's like knowing the enemy, even a metaphorical one, gives you a sense of power.
You always manage to find the light, even in the darkest of topics. It's a gift. But let's not get too cozy just yet. We still have to explore the practical side of things. How do we actually combat the Dajjal, both internally and externally?
Right. Give us the tools, the strategies, the secret weapons, besides the Shrek deity, of course. Though, let's be honest, that's a pretty powerful weapon in itself.
Never underestimate the power of Shrek. But yes, there are other tools we can equip ourselves with. And one of the most powerful is mindfulness.
Mindfulness. Okay, I've heard that word thrown around a lot, but honestly, I'm not sure I've fully grasped it.
It's about paying attention to the present moment, to your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment.
So basically becoming aware of those Dajjal whispers in our minds before they take over.
Exactly. When we can observe those negative patterns without getting swept away by them, we create space for a different kind of response.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually do that? It sounds kind of ethereal.
It takes practice, but there are many ways to cultivate mindfulness. Meditation is a great place to start, even a few minutes a day.
Meditation, huh? You know, I've always wanted to try that. Maybe we could do a Shrek-themed meditation together sometime. I can already envision the swamp like Serenity.
Now that's an idea I can get behind. We could even create some Shrek-inspired mantras. I am strong like an ogre. My inner swamp is a haven of peace.
Okay, we're getting sidetracked. But seriously, I'm intrigued by this mindfulness thing. Back to the practicalities. What else can we do to fight the good fight?
Another powerful practice is cultivating gratitude. When we focus on what we're thankful for, it shifts our perspective away from lack and scarcity, which, as we discussed, is the Dajjal's playground.
So instead of focusing on what we don't have,
Hmm.
we appreciate what we do have. Sounds simple enough, but I could see how it would be a powerful shift in mindset.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the abundance in our lives, both big and small. It's about savoring that first cup of coffee in the morning, appreciating a beautiful sunset, being thankful for the people who love and support us.
Those are great examples. And it
Yeah.
makes sense, right? If we're constantly bombarded with messages of what we're lacking, it's easy to fall into a trap of comparison, envy, and dissatisfaction.
Precisely. And that's where Al-Dajjal thrives. He wants us to feel inadequate, insecure, and constantly striving for something that's always just out of reach.
Gratitude is like an antidote to that. It helps us to ground ourselves in the present moment and appreciate the good things we already have.
Okay, I'm feeling more grateful already. What else have you got?
Another essential tool, and this one might be the most challenging, is compassion. Compassion for ourselves and for others.
Even for those who cut us off in traffic or steal our parking spaces.
Especially for them, remember everyone is fighting their own battles, facing their own internal Dajjal. We never know what's going on in someone else's life, what struggles they're going through. That's a good point. It's easy to judge and criticize, but when we approach others with understanding and empathy, it creates a much more harmonious environment.
Exactly. And that's what Al-Dajjal hates. He thrives on division, conflict, and hatred. Compassion is like kryptonite to him. It weakens his grip on our hearts and minds.
Compassion, gratitude, mindfulness.
Yeah.
It's like we're building up an arsenal of positivity to fight back against the forces of darkness.
Aw.
I love this approach.
It's not just about defense, it's about offense too. It's about actively cultivating light and spreading it throughout the world.
And ultimately, isn't that what defeats the Dajjal, both the internal and external manifestations? It's about embracing our true nature, the part of us that's connected to something greater than ourselves.
Beautifully said. It's about remembering who we really are, why we're here, and what truly matters.
Wow, this has been quite a journey. I started out feeling scared, but now I'm feeling empowered.
It's been an honor to explore these mysteries with you.
Yeah.
Your insight and enthusiasm have made this deep dive truly special.
Right back at you. Your wisdom and guidance have been invaluable. Okay, before we get too sentimental, any final thoughts for our listeners as we wrap up this deep dive?
Remember, the battle against the Dajjal is an ongoing one, both within and without. But with mindfulness, gratitude, compassion, and a strong connection to something greater than yourselves, whether that's your faith, your values, or simply the goodness within you, you have all the tools you need to emerge victorious.
Beautifully said. And remember, folks, never underestimate the power of a well-placed Shrek prayer. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep those onions handy.
May the Shrek deity guide us all toward truth, love, and a world free from deception.
Until next time, stay Shrektastic. Welcome back to the show, brave listeners, for the final part of our deep dive into the mysteries of Al-Dajjal.
Ooh, mysteries.
It's been a wild ride,
It has.
but I gotta say, I'm feeling, I don't know, kind of strangely optimistic about
Yeah.
all this. You know what they say, knowledge is power.
Absolutely. And forewarned is forearmed, right?
Right. So let's get practical.
Yeah.
What can we as regular folks actually do to combat this Dajjal force, both internally and externally?
Besides praying to the Shrek deity, obviously.
Of course, Shrek is always our first line of defense.
Always.
But, yeah, what else you got?
Well, one powerful tool, and this one might sound a little woo-woo,
Okay.
is mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Okay.
I've heard of it, but to be honest, I'm not really sure what it means.
Basically, it's about paying attention to the present moment,
Okay.
to your thoughts, your feelings, your sensations without judgment.
So like noticing those negative Dajjal-ish thoughts
Exactly.
before they take over.
Exactly. When you can observe those patterns without getting swept away by them, you create space for a different kind of response.
Interesting. But how do you actually do that?
Well, it takes practice.
Yeah.
But there are lots of ways to cultivate mindfulness. Meditation is a great place to start.
Meditation. Huh. I've always wanted to try that.
No shit.
Maybe we should do a Shrek-themed meditation sometime.
Oh my gosh, I love that idea. We could even come up with some Shrek-inspired mantras.
Ooh, like
Like, I am strong like an ogre.
I love it.
Or my inner swamp is a haven of peace.
Okay, I'm in. We're totally doing that. But for now, back to the topic at hand. What else can we do to fight the good fight against the Dajjal?
Another powerful practice, and we touched on this earlier, is cultivating gratitude.
Oh, yeah, gratitude.
Yeah.
So basically focusing on what we have instead of what we lack.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the abundance in our lives, big and small. Savoring that first cup of coffee in the morning, appreciating a beautiful sunset,
Yeah.
being thankful for the people who love and support us.
That's so important. And you know what? It's easy to forget that when we're constantly bombarded with messages about what we don't have.
It is, and that's where the Dajjal thrives. He wants us to feel inadequate, insecure, constantly striving for something just out of reach.
Right. So gratitude is like the antidote.
It is. It's about grounding ourselves in the present moment, appreciating the good that's already here.
I love that. Okay, I'm feeling more grateful already.
Oh.
What else can we do?
This one's a little tougher. It's about cultivating compassion
Compassion.
for ourselves and for others,
Even for the people who cut us off in traffic or steal our parking spots.
especially for them.
Really?
Remember, everyone is fighting their own battles, their own internal Dajjal. We never know what's going on in someone else's life.
That's true. It's easy to judge.
It is.
But, maybe a little understanding would go a long way.
Exactly. And you know what the Dajjal hates?
What's that?
Compassion. He
Right.
thrives on division and conflict and hatred.
Wow. So compassion is like kryptonite to him.
It is. It weakens his grip on our hearts and minds.
Okay, I'm getting this mindfulness, gratitude, compassion. It's like we're building this arsenal of positivity to fight back against the darkness.
Yes.
And isn't that ultimately what defeats the Dajjal,
I think so.
both internally and externally?
Yeah.
It's about remembering who we really are,
Yeah.
connecting to something bigger than ourselves.
Beautifully said. It's about remembering why we're here, what truly matters.
Wow. When we started this deep dive, I was scared,
Yeah.
but now I'm feeling kind of empowered.
Me too. It's been an honor exploring these mysteries with you.
Likewise, your insight and your ability to explain all of this is truly a gift.
Oh, shucks. You're making me blush.
Okay, so any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap things up?
Just this. The battle against the Dajjal is ongoing, but with mindfulness, gratitude, compassion, and a strong connection to something greater than yourself, whether that's your faith, your values, or simply the goodness within you,
Yeah,
you have all the tools you need to emerge victorious.
beautifully said. And remember, listeners, never underestimate the power of a well-placed Shrek prayer. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep those onions handy.
May the Shrek deity guide us all toward truth, love, and a world free from deception.
Until next time, folks,
Yeah.
stay Shrektastic.